Yo, what's up, Mayank?
What's up, Abhinav? How's it going, man?
Good, good. Things are nice. So, this session, we're going to be doing something super different. Welcome everybody. It's Thursday night, 9 p.m. This is when we do Whiteboard Live. This is the ninth episode in a row. And this one, we're going to be doing something very different. Usually, it's just a Q&A. But one of the projects we have going on, or just about to start, is the Whiteboard Live website. Now, we're going to talk about why we decided to do a website right now and the history of Whiteboard so far. But this session is going to be a Whiteboard Live brainstorm. I was going to say whiteboarding session because it's almost
Yeah,
like
it's
planning
almost
it.
like that.
Yeah, but it's like a brainstorming and planning session where we're going to be talking about, um, we're going to be showing you a behind the scenes of the actual design process of designing the website. And this website, you'll probably see it out once it's there. But today, we're going to kick it off. You're going to see how the whole thing was done. So, Mayank, you want to just give a little bit of context. So, I remember when we first started Whiteboard, we were sitting at third wave. This was in Feb.
Yeah,
You want to just give a context of why we started and what's the scene right now?
cool. So, to give more context to people, before this, I was already working with Abhinav. I was helping him out with booklets, and then we were just seeing how to take booklets ahead or what to do next. And just before that day, when I met Abhinav at Third Wave, and just the day we came up with Whiteboard, I came back from a fest, which was a different experience. It was a really different experience for me. Majorly being the fact being that storytelling was a big highlight of that fest, and
FX. That was
F
the
of X. I went for F of X, and storytelling was a big highlight of that fest. And the Abhinav had gone for that fest early as well. So when we met, he was like, "Bro, how was it? How was your experience?" And I was like, "Man, it was really nice. It was really different." And a lot of creative juices were flowing at that time, which is something which I wanted to share and talk about. And while we were discussing, I realized that I wanted to give a shot at content creation. And then when I said that I want to start doing content creation, Abhinav was like, "Bro, like, what do you want to do in content creation?" And that's how we started discussing about storytelling and how there are so many designers out there, and people know very few designers who are out there who are very active on social media, and all their challenges and all their experiences are yet to be heard, which is how we came up with coming to a decision that let's do content creation on the basis of stories of designers, sharing stories of different people, and sharing it with people who want to know about it. Because knowing stories about people who did something 5 years ago is not as relevant as it is knowing someone's stories who is at where you want to be a couple of years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago. So that's how we came up with Whiteboard.fm, and then rest is history.
Nice, nice. Folks in the chat, I want a quick. So, since this is a brainstorming session and not just general conversations, we're going to be asking you for a lot of inputs in between. The first question I have for you is, how did you first hear about Whiteboard.fm? Was it a particular episode that you first saw? Was it, Instagram? Was it somewhere else? How did you come across Whiteboard.fm? Because the reason I'm asking is that today, actually, Mayank, can you tell me this? Officially, how long has it been since the channel has been running? Like first episode onwards till today?
Our first episode, I think, was in March. It was around 20th of March,
Wow.
and today is the 9th of September. So it's been around 6 months, bro. It's already been six
Yeah.
months.
Hmm. Because today, not only is it a special show because we're doing a brainstorm, as of today, we officially hit 101 videos on the channel.
Oh,
We've
nice.
crossed 100
Yeah,
videos on the channel. So that's
damn,
100
bro.
videos in 6 months.
Yeah, that's a lot of content. And yeah, I can only imagine, like, I can't think, bro, like, in terms of how it's happened, like 100 videos, how they've happened from
Yeah.
the day we thought that, okay, we'll go about it this way, we'll start this up, and how it's like come out to be.
Mm.
Mad stuff.
And I think what's also interesting is that when we think about Whiteboard now, actually we'll just jump quickly into, because this is going to be a packed session. I'll start sharing and we'll continue talking as I'm jumping into Figma.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. But what I was going to say is that it's interesting that when we think about Whiteboard right now, it feels like it's been going on like forever.
Really long.
Really long.
Yeah.
Right? And it's only been 6 months. And one interesting thing about, I mean, for anybody who's considering starting a YouTube channel or a podcast, one super important mindset that you have to really have is you're going to see the results of your Instagram, actually not Instagram, YouTube or your
YouTube.
podcast only about 12 to 18 months after you start.
Correct.
Which is till then, it's going to be a slow grind. It's going to be testing your patience to see whether, is this going to do well? Is this not? And those first 12 to 8 months are really important for you to build, I would say, not really to grow the channel, but to build your content creation habits, in the sense that how exactly do you think about new ideas? What does your calendar for content look like? Do you have the energy, for example, based on your current commitments,
Yeah.
to do one video every week, multiple videos a week, or can you do one video a month? And for you to actually get this first-hand experience of what it's like with different amount of output on your plate. Yeah.
Definitely, man, definitely. Like, yeah, bro, like it is so different in terms of it's not as easy as people might think that, okay, like we'll just create some videos and upload it and we'll like get viral. It's nothing like that. There's a lot of thinking that goes behind it. There's a lot of structure that goes behind it. The structure and planning that goes behind it, it's insane, which has been my biggest learning in terms of the planning. Because when you're working on projects, it's just that, okay, you want to work on a project, you can start off and then you do your research. But here, before you start off, is where all the planning and all the structuring and all the research and the content creation happens. After that, the uploading part, and when it's on YouTube, that's the last part of the entire process. Like there is so much that goes behind it. That's the main process that happens.
Yeah, for sure. What we're going to do now is I'm just setting up my chat so I can see it while I'm screen sharing. Mayank, you can probably do that as well. Just pop out the chat so you can see it while we're in Figma.
Okay.
But let me just start screen sharing. We can get started. Okay, here we go. Let me, 1 second. Couple seconds, folks. Just figuring the best setup right now. Okay, I think we can start now. So overall, now that you know the context of how Whiteboard started, you have some idea about the stage we are at right now. One thing I want to address is you might think it's a little counterintuitive, which is usually when you start a new project, it's like sometimes like I used to do this a couple years back. When I used to start a new project, I would first start with the website. And then doing that website would take me, whatever, a few weeks, maybe a month. And then I would start the project. And one thing that I noticed was by that time I would lose steam, or, a website is just the landing page. Like you still need to have this, it's the front of your shop. You still need to have all the stuff in the back. which is why we actually waited this long. We want to focus more on the core content, the core delivery mechanism, the core processes around how we do all of this before we really got into doing the website. But now that we're at 100 episodes plus, it's been about 6 months, we're about ready to start. So I'm just showing you a little bit. This is everything up to this point. I can see all your chats, so please keep this going. I'm going to keep looking at these while we're going through this. All of this, I think this is season 2.
Yeah, that's season 2.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of stuff for season 1 as well, right up here. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing tonight, though, is we're going to be planning it out. This is going to be a brainstorm session. Very likely, we're not going to be designing the actual thing in Figma. Max we might reach is some wireframes, but it's mostly going to be planning. So before we get into this research here, let me just do what we usually do. Just going to set up some sticky notes here. We're going to start with, you can see me, Mayank, right? I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's start with a little bit of what we would say is the goal of this design exercise. What are we exactly trying to achieve? So I would say number one, what would you say, man? What do you think our main goals with this are?
So our main goal of having a website is, so Whiteboard right now is currently available on multiple platforms, right? YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. So I feel the main goal of the website would be a unification of all the resources to be available at that one place. Also, this would be one place where we are showcasing more than just the interviews or the clips that we have, but also the guests, what the vision of Whiteboard is.
So I'm probably going to say, first is unify all content in one place, which is right now, I think most people, if you look at the numbers today, watch
YouTube.
On YouTube. Anchor, we haven't really given a shit. It's just for distribution.
Yeah.
But I think there's a chunk of people that watch on Spotify and iTunes and all of that stuff as well. So unify all content in one place. That would definitely be one thing. I would say the showcasing part, I'm probably going to call it discoverability
right,
of guests and topics, which is today, if you look at, I mean, folks who are watching right now, if you want something to do while you're watching this, open in a new tab, whiteboard.fm, go to the playlists tab, and you see that we are trying to sort of create these themes, which is, we have something like
hiring processes.
We have these video case studies. We have the main interviews themselves. However, that's probably not the best way to do it. I'm thinking of something where you can come here and you can say something like, let's say, see, over time, if you think about it, we're going to get a lot more interviews as well.
Yeah.
So it might make sense to invest in some sort of schema right now, which is, let's say, if you go to the website and you go to Facebook, whiteboard.fm/company/Facebook, let's just say, I'm giving an example. We will see all interviews from people who've been at Facebook, internships, jobs, case studies, and all of this stuff there. That's one way to browse.
Yeah.
Another way to browse would be, let me just say, browse by topic, company, guest, type. And a lot of metadata I feel is being created, which is for every single interview, there's so many links and stuff that come out of it.
Yeah.
For example, you have links to case studies. The person you've interviewed, we have links to their website, social media, yeah, YouTube also in some cases.
Correct.
I'm going to sort of put this together in a better way. Another goal I'm going to write here is actually want to start investing in long-term SEO, which is we are building up a considerable content base, and technically if you look for, let's say, Facebook case study, I don't know if we have it, but if you look it up on Google, very likely you're not going to find Whiteboard.fm. So what I want to do is start investing in long-term SEO and create website pages for each piece, each clip, each guest, each episode.
Right.
What else, dude? I'm not seeing any chats. Is everybody on board? What else do we need to do? I think for now, this is chill. Let me create another one here.
Yeah, we've included a lot of subtopics also as well in each line, because browsing by topic, company, guest, and also we haven't mentioned how we would show case studies, right? Because what we have done is, for our cohort members, we've collated a list of all our guests and their case studies and the kind of domain in which their case studies or their projects worked for. So there would be a further bifurcation of that as well.
Got it. True. So some ideas at this point is landing page that communicates what Whiteboard is. This is something I've noticed, which is people who've been watching Whiteboard know what it is. But
right.
New people, there's no place where you can just start. So actually, I'm going to write that as a goal here. Make it easier for new users to navigate and discover. So we need a landing page that communicates what Whiteboard is. We need a repository. Actually, why call it repository? I'm just going to say separate page for each episode or clip. Episode, clip, guest. What I'm thinking, Mayank, is we can do whiteboard.fm / podcast or /p/ let's say Arnab Mukherjee 004 or whatever. And then when we share to Twitter, when we share to LinkedIn and everywhere, instead of sharing the episode link, YouTube link, we'll just share that one and it has all the links. For folks who are watching, let me help you visualize this a little better. You might think, what exactly does that mean? Right now, we have our Twitter page and LinkedIn. So if you can see this here, what we do is every time we have a new clip or something, we share the YouTube link. The reason we share YouTube rather than anything else is because YouTube is where people watch the most. But sometimes it's a decision. Just like for this, we've shared the YouTube link to this. We could have shared, let's say, the podcast link for people who prefer to listen to podcasts. We could have also shared, for example, Spotify links and iTunes links, because most people have a default podcast player that they use. With YouTube, it's also that, like, for example, when you're on your phone, let's say on a commute or you're outside or whatever, not at your desktop, if you don't have YouTube Premium, you can't listen to YouTube episodes in the background. But you can do that with podcasts. But here, for somebody who doesn't know, they're not going to discover that this exists in audio format as well. We used to do that, add the links and stuff, but there definitely needs to be a better way. So with the website, one thing we want to do is start changing all of these links to whiteboard.fm / whatever links, which will have this, the video. It'll have this, which is the outline. We're thinking about transcripts as well, which is if you can read the whole interview. The only issue with something like that is it's very time consuming, and there are automated transcript tools. Like one of the best ones that we've also tried out is Otter.ai. But I'm not really sure how useful transcripts are and whether it's worth it, because there are a lot of places where it doesn't pick up accents or words. So we don't really want to go in manual and edit that. But at the same time, we don't want it to be wrong. Yeah, that's a little bit of background. Folks, I seen 0 chats since the last 10 minutes. Everything all good? You guys have any ideas? What do you think the goals of the project should be? Are you able to see chat, man, or is it just me?
No, bro, I can see chats, but not many people are active. What's
Okay.
up, folks?
This is not a
All
background
good.
podcast because you have to watch what's happening.
Right.
Okay, anyways, so page is gonna have YouTube embed, guest links and bio, clips from episode, transcripts, timestamps, categories, we can also do recommendation, which is if you watch something and similar episodes, we can actually do that. So we can say related clips
And episodes, yeah.
related episodes. Do links to
Links to their case studies, not just the clips, but their actual case studies.
links to case studies, and I would say resources. A lot of times people mention links, like
Right.
they say, hey, you should check out this website called XYZ, and we actually don't collect those right now.
Yeah.
Basically something that talks about everything covered in that this thing.
Because then this will be more than what's related to the channel itself, right? It will be more than just whiteboard. It will be whatever discussions or things pertaining to those discussions which could be helpful to the guests themselves as well as all those who are watching. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think one more thing I'm going to add here. I see a question from Twishy which says, she wants to know if the cohorts are related to whiteboard. I think that's related to the point I'm about to write right now, which is talk, I'll include it here, talk about what whiteboard and 10K designers are, which is, we haven't been very clear in like talking about, actually we have roughly, but not in written form.
Yeah. Also because like the faces are very similar in all the formats that are there, whiteboard 10K, which is why it seems like there's a correlation.
Yeah. So the answer to that is that whiteboard is a part of 10K designers. 10K designers is the, I would say,
Superset.
Yeah, it's a superset where we do cohorts a few times a year. This is basically for people who want an intensive course to, with mentors, with cohort mates, like teammates, assignments. If you want all of this intensively in a duration of 3 months where you wanted accountability. But then at the same time, we don't want to just be a school that says, hey, you want to learn design, enroll and pay us, right? Because a lot of people, I feel like the knowledge is also super important here. So one of the bigger goals of 10K designers is use the cohorts thing as a way to really get into the depths of teaching design, but then use all the free content that we do, which is whiteboard.fm and my YouTube channel, and do a lot more free stuff there as well, which is even if you're not enrolled in the cohort, there is still some stuff you do here. And of course, this helps us create interesting things for the cohort as well, which is for cohort members, we sometimes do behind the scenes. We do, they get access to all the episodes way before the public gets it. They actually get to have a one-on-one interaction with the guests rather than just watching it on YouTube. So that's sort of like the main difference. One thing I also want to add here is, what do you think about a newsletter, which is a weekly update of new episodes and interesting links. Folks in the chat, let me know. What do you think about a newsletter? You think this is interesting? And Mayank, what do you think about this?
I think that's nice, bro. It's because one thing which we also haven't done is that I've noticed a lot of YouTube channels currently have started having this join feature where all the viewers or the current subscribers can join in either some kind of a community of the subscribers or the channels themselves. So this could be our way of getting all our subscribers to be a part of the newsletter, and we could share with the new content that's coming up, the upcoming guests, which I see in a lot of comments in the live stream as well. A lot of people are wanting to know who are the guests that are coming up, and also about anything if they missed or highlights of previous episodes. So that would also save us from actually creating transcripts, because in a way we would be giving maybe a minor brief of any episodes, like really like old or season 1 vintage episodes, which the viewers, the new joinees would have missed. So yeah.
Cool. So I added this thing also here, which is to reduce dependence on external platform. I think this ties in with the newsletter idea, because the thing with YouTube is that you don't really own the audience in the sense that they subscribe to you, but it's YouTube's decision whether they want to show you your content in the feeds and suggestions.
Right.
A lot of times you're left to the mercy of the algorithm. So that way, reducing dependence would mean collecting emails in general, which is every video we can sort of say something like, hey, if you want to receive updates and notes about what we're up to with links and whatever, sign up for the newsletter and we'll let you know every time a new episode does.
Right.
So this will sort of be a way to build that list, which I think it's about time we do. It's just that personally, I hate newsletters. In the sense, I love reading newsletters, but I hate running newsletters.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort. So what we might need to do is we might need to hire a freelancer, or actually once we do this, we'll have to set up processes as well for how do you create all of this. But we might hire a couple freelancers to help us.
We will have to. I feel now we've reached a point where we will have to, for scaling it up further, we will need more people involved as well. Which is what we were discussing earlier as well. We were looking for people who are ready to do editing for Whiteboard.
Yeah.
So just like that, newsletter will also be one of those things which would need someone to manage it.
Yeah. I think one thing I'll also write here is processes.
Okay, I can see while Abhinav is writing about processes, I can see there are a lot of people watching, but not enough likes equal to the amount of people watching. So guys, let's hit that like button. Let's hit that subscribe button. I get everyone's really focused and into the process and what we're doing right now, but let's do this.
One thing I think I want to do in terms of process is also set up one single Notion database, the same way that we have the cohort Notion database set up.
Yeah.
I think right now we're using Google Docs and Google Sheets for this, but I think we can unify all of this at once. It's going to be a little bit of top-down effort, which is setting the structure.
It's fine though, because we've already started, it's not like we are starting it from scratch. One thing is that, like you mentioned, we have it on Google Sheets, and also we've already started creating things on Notion as well. We have a repository of all the guests, season 1 and season 2 guests, and all their case studies.
True. And I think this is really needed. What I'm going to say is workspace. This is really needed also because between two of us, it's very simple to just be like on WhatsApp, bro, have you done this, done that?
Yeah.
But once you have freelancers, once you have 4 people, there's intercommunication. So I think we'll definitely need this. Setup, workflows, and SOPs. So SOPs basically is standard operating procedure. This is something I've been looking into, which is it's basically a way to the thing with a lot of freelancers is a lot of times they need direction to get over that learning curve, which is that initial thing. So an SOP is basically the statement that you make, which is a standard operating procedure, which is, this is how we do, let's say, titles. This is how we do video titles. This is the kind of formatting you do when you need to share it to Telegram. Or like an episode is about to go out. What are the different things you need to do? Telegram, Discord, LinkedIn, Twitter. After it goes out, what do you need to do? To schedule the guests, what do you need to do? So I think what we'll do is, Mayank, we have attempted this before, which is you set up a bunch of these. But I think what we can now start doing is, let's not be top down about this, which is let's not try to set everything up. Let's pick the ones which are relevant for some of the freelancers.
Right.
We can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Because what we were doing last time is we were trying to create a SOP for, like, as an organization, like how it would be for the entire organization to function. And I'm pretty sure there were a lot of things which we would not have considered, because as things keep building, we realize that, okay, these things will not work, or these things need to be changed. So yeah, with the roles that keep coming up, we would have to, like, setting up SOPs with respect to the roles instead of doing it with respect to the organization would be a better approach. Like, we should try that.
I'm going to say another thing is channel-wise processes, which is right now we have Twitter, Telegram,
YouTube, Discord.
We have Discord, we have like 3 right now.
Yeah. LinkedIn.
Actually, Twitter also we have 3. Let me count Whiteboard, yours and mine. Telegram is just 2. LinkedIn we have 3 again.
Yeah.
Actually, this could be 4 also if we count the guests, Twitter and LinkedIn as well. I'll just keep this 3 for now.
Yeah.
We have Facebook groups, which is we started, but we didn't really do it.
Hmm.
Facebook group is kind of dead right now. Anything else that I'm missing?
Twitter, Telegram, Discord. No, bro. I think that's it.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, we have 3 as well, which is yours, mine, and whiteboard.fm. Cool. Another thing I want to just add here quickly is editing and clips processes. So this is like the main meat of everything. Let me take a few comments and then I'll show you some of the research we've done. Which is these screenshots that Mayank and I have collected. Let me answer some of the questions first. Instead of transcripts, Twitter threads for key insights. We can definitely do that. We can do Twitter threads. The problem with Twitter threads, though, I mean, I can tell you this with some research that I've done, is that threads, I mean, this is actually useful to you if anybody who's considering doing Twitter threads. You probably need to be above 5,000 followers or above 4,000 followers to do threads. What I've seen is that if you have a low number of followers, Whiteboard right now is low. My personal account, I think it's close to 5,000. So I can do it on my personal account. But on Whiteboard, the thing is, when you have a low number of followers, people are not really that invested to read threads from you. That's just my intuition and, some anecdotes from other people that I've heard. So we can think about it though. Is the website going to be built on Webflow? 100%. All my websites are built on Webflow. Webflow tutorial for beginners. We have Webflow tutorials as part of the cohort. I do have a Webflow video on my channel. It's not really a tutorial, but it's like a behind the scenes. GitHub's new profile, Readme. Yeah, that's a good idea. Have you seen this, Mayank?
Yeah.
So basically, GitHub did a new redesign for profiles, so you can now add a bunch of stuff to this thing. I think that can be good for our guest profiles, it'll be quite cool to have whiteboard.fm / Mayank / Abhinav / whatever for each guest.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you all some of the research we've done before this. So a note before I get into this, which is this is mostly secondary research we've done, which is if you are designing X, in this case, X is a website for a podcast. The very first thing you need to do is you need to check out other podcasts and how they do it, because that gives you the very obvious ideas up front, right? So that's like a hack that you can do. Besides that, most of the actual people research we've done, which is understanding what people want and more personal insights, which is like our own primary audience and primary research. A lot of that has been long term, which is one analogy I can give you for research for side projects, especially, is there's two types of work, right? One of them is a heavy lift and the other is a slow burn. This is a analogy I picked up from Building a Second Brain. But basically the idea is when you're doing something like research for a case study, you're doing a heavy lift, which is you want to quickly do the research such that you can then get started with the next process. So you have actual time limitations. Versus when you're doing it for something like this, which is a long-term project and it's a personal project as well. Instead of doing research as a heavy lift, which is we need to start and get it over with, it's a slow burn, which is research happens over months, which is for one entire week, we might not really consider it. But then this one thing that somebody says on Discord about one episode, or this one tweet reaction that we get, one YouTube comment that we get, we're like, oh, dude, that means, or this implies that we can do this, X, Y, Z. So the way I treat research for a lot of these projects, and this is something I've done for 10K designers as well, which is cohort members have access to. In fact, very interestingly, the 10K designers, the whole thing started off as a similar live stream. This is on my channel. And we did this to brainstorm what we should do. But all my research for this was a slow burn. For 10K designers, my research has been happening for the past couple of years, which is me being in a design role, design leadership role, being, active in different design communities, starting the Twitter, starting the YouTube channel. Anyways, Mayank, you want to walk through some of these? I'm going to take a short break.
Sure. So like Abhinav mentioned, the secondary research is
Mayank, as much as possible, try to zoom in like completely because they might not be able to see the stuff.
Cool. So like Abhinav mentioned, we started with a secondary research is what I'm going to be explaining, is that in terms of how I looked at different podcasts that are out there, and based on like which the websites of those podcasts, which websites did I like, and I took screenshots of those. So this is the Design Better podcast by Envision. And what I really liked about their website is that how they have really given emphasis on each guest in terms of their layout. Like what they have done is created caricatures for each guest. But apart from the caricatures.
Mayank, one quick pause. My Figma is lagging, so I wasn't able to see your screen.
Okay.
1 second.
I can share my screen if you want.
Yeah, but my computer is lagging, so I won't be able to switch.
Got it.
Oh yeah, 1 second, dude. Let me see what I can do about this. Folks, are you able to see my screen? Just quickly let me know, because I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. You can still hear me, Mayank?
Yeah, I can still hear you, bro.
Okay,
and so I think I can see your screen as well.
But it's stuck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What to do? Yeah, the screen is stuck. Folks, give us 5 to 10 minutes. Let me figure this out. My computer is stuck. I think my browser is hanging the computer. Okay, I think we're back. 1 second, Mayank.
Yeah, no problem.
Damn, bro, that was lucky. I did nothing. I just waited. Okay. Let me just do a status check. You're able to see my screen?
No, bro, it's still stuck on research, actually.
Okay, it's working for me, so I'll just set it up.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I think what you can do is you can share yours.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Stop sharing mine. Yeah.
Cool. So can you see my screen, Abhinav?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'll start off again. So just like Abhinav mentioned previously, we started off with secondary research. The primary research is a slow burn research, and the secondary research is basically us going through different podcasts and their websites and figuring out which website do we like and what could we take inspiration from. So I'll deep dive into them. What the first one was the Design Better podcast by InVision. Now, what I liked about their website was that they have given a lot of emphasis on their guests. That is, these guys have created illustrations and caricatures of their guests. But apart from the illustration part of it, I really like how the layout in terms of giving the emphasis and showcasing their guests that they've had for their podcast over the period of time. And these guys have, I think, 4 seasons currently, and I really like their layout. Like, it's very clean and it's visually it's really nice. Then a couple of other podcasts which I've noticed, like layout, and I would say another podcast which I had seen similarly is Ransigal's Blind Date. So what I've seen is, this is something which you guys will see when you're browsing through Anchor.fm as well, is that the layout's very similar. You show your podcast thumbnail and you give a short explanation for it, and then you jump straight away to the episodes that you have, and the viewers can listen to it immediately. So I saw similar layouts here.
Is that this Ransigal thing? So it's actually a template that this thing called Simple Cast offers.
Okay.
So I've seen a bunch of podcasts have the same exact layout. So Simple Cast basically lets you quickly create a website from your podcast. So that is an option that we had, which is use one of these existing things, but we're preferring to do it completely custom.
Correct. So similarly, such layouts have been used, but then I really like such the websites, like what we are also trying to do. We are not trying to go with the standard podcast kind of a website that a lot of things are available using things like Simplecast, but really showcasing who the guests are. For example, here, Roots as well is a podcast about Filipino designers and how each guest has been showcased, and there is a Readme CTA for each guest such that they can click on it and then they can deep dive into that particular guest and their resources, like we mentioned in terms of our planning, the case studies, the background information, a couple of personal information about each guest. Then there is Design Details podcast. What I really like about Design Details is how they've incorporated a lot of different aspects and compiled it into one big landing page. That is, they are explaining what the podcast is for. They're showcasing their designers. They're also embedding multiple platforms. It is like a unification of all their other platforms that their podcast is on. They've showcased all of it in one web page.
I like the where to begin option, which shows the most popular ones.
Correct.
It definitely happens. You have 300 podcasts. You're like, okay, what do I start with? So
Definitely, man. Like they have like 314 is what I see here. So that shows that they've got a lot of content.
yeah. In fact,
And
I feel
yeah,
like one advantage that we have over some of these podcasts is, although they can say that, hey, out of 300, watch these are the most popular ones. Um, you still have to listen to an hour-long episode. I think with our clips, we're helping that discoverability even more. So it
true.
might make sense to have a dedicated clips page, which is instead of spending 1 hour, you spend three minutes, six minutes, discover the podcast you like. Yeah.
For sure. So these are some of the websites. Similar layouts are there, like similar, I won't say layouts, I'll say information architecture. The information architecture is very common in a lot of these websites. For example, here as well, the Design Matters podcast by Debbie Millman. So what she's done is very similar to what I saw on the Roots podcast page, is that they've showcased each guest and how on clicking each box, it would lead to, it would deep dive into that particular guest and about that episode. Similar thing for Inside Intercom podcasts and also Overtime podcast. Now, Overtime podcast is a podcast by Dribble. What they've done is something that's very similar to the Design Details podcast. That is, it is a unification. They've started off with explaining what the podcast is for. They've shown every platform on which the podcast is available. And they've also shown their latest episode. They featured their latest episodes and their past episodes. But something which something that Overtime podcast does not have, but Design Details does, is where to begin, which is something that does stand out. It's like a recommendation of the best content that's out there, which is something that YouTube channels or YouTubers also do when they show their popular uploads on their homepage. It's similar to that. So after Overtime podcast, again, I really like uxresearch.fm, their design, the visual aspect of it. So uxresearch.fm is by Vibhas Jain, and it's about UX researchers and interviews with them. And I really like the visual representation of it, because out of all these web pages, there are very few web pages which are visually very engaging and really nice. Like most of them are just trying to get their functional part or get their SEO optimized, but they're not really, they don't really have the visual aspect of it, which is something I really like about this web page.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that's what the secondary research was in terms of checking out the podcasts. Then we deep dive into another kind of a subset of the secondary research, which is figuring out what do people want, what kind of content are they looking for.
Yeah.
Which is when we're looking towards content creation platforms. That is, platforms that are on which multiple content creators have built their own communities.
Yeah. One interesting thing to note here for anybody who's interested is that usually with research, your first instinct is to find similar things, which is designing for a podcast. You look at other podcast websites, but the idea is you can also look at what I would call lateral research, which is you have this main thing where you're looking at sites which are similar. This is not a podcast, but it's still for a design audience. That way it's lateral. Similarly, so the idea is, how do you apply lateral thinking, which is instead of doing the most obvious thing, how do you find this lateral path that you can also explore, which ties in and gives you insights for the main thing. Yeah, man. Go on, Mayank.
Right. So adding on to the lateral thinking, that not just focusing on the competitors or the other podcasts, but also focusing on the same aspect or the domain which a lot of folks are interested in, but in a different manner or in a different project kind of sorts. So the Designership Pro is a community-based platform where people try to be a part of the community, something like the 10K designers community as well, where a lot of folks join in and they share content and they learn from the content that is provided by the creators which run the platform as well. So there is Designership Pro, there is Designership Community, and you can see how similar but different their platforms are as well. Like the similar part of both these web pages are what the community has to say about them. Like if you see on my left and right, but when you scroll up, you can see that in Designership Pro, they have emphasized more on what values are they providing as a part of their program, and what are the advantages if you are a part of the community.
Yeah, I think one thing that's also interesting is, I mean, this ties into the lateral point, the lateral thinking point. Just if you had looked at just podcast websites, you would never find a section like this which talks about the benefits of what will you learn or why should you listen.
Right.
Most of them, if you notice, why should you listen is just the heading on top, and then they say, here's all our content. They don't try to convince you to listen. Versus most landing pages do that. So I think we're sort of combining those two approaches here.
For sure, bro. Like I just noticed as well, like going through all the web pages of all the podcasts, there's not one web page which explains why should someone listen to their podcast. They're just sharing their content and be like, this is what we have, go for it.
Yeah.
But then all these websites such as, this is a great example, the Portfolio book by Dan Petty. Like here, Dan Petty is selling his book, his ebook. And here he's selling it in terms of what you learn from it, how it will benefit you, why you should purchase this book.
Yeah.
And I really like how his copy and his representation of it is something which we discussed as well. It was really on point, which I feel is something we could incorporate in Whiteboard as well.
So one quick, I actually have a interesting engagement thing for all of you who are watching. Mayank, you want to quickly show what t-shirt you're wearing?
Yeah, bro. I'm wearing the version 1 10K Designers t-shirt.
So here it is. This is version 2. I might have stand for this. But this is the version 2 t-shirt, which all cohort members are going to be getting. Mayank, you want to just quickly get into a pose where you can...
Sure, bro.
Okay. So one interesting thing that we have on this stream is we have a chance for you to get this t-shirt. All cohort members get this as part of their welcome kit. But if you're watching right now, if you want to get one of these t-shirts, let me show you how you can do that. We, of course, don't have an online Shopify store or whatever where you can buy this. But Mayank, you want to scroll to the designership thing where they have those tweets? You scroll a little bit to the left. Okay. So one thing you see here, this actually gives me an idea. We do want to add a section which is social proof, which is we want to add some testimonials of people who have gotten value from whiteboard.fm. So here's how you can win one of these t-shirts. I won't tell you whether it's this one or that one. It's going to be one of the 10K Designers t-shirts. But if you can write a good testimonial for us, if you've been watching whiteboard.fm, if you found value from listening to this, write a nice testimonial on Twitter, tag whiteboard.fm, and if we end up using it for the website, we'll send you a free t-shirt. So, of course, you'll only find out once the website is out. We'll keep in touch with you. We'll get your address or whatever. But if we do end up using this, we'll get you a t-shirt. So one interesting thing to note here is we won't be able to use all the testimonials. So try to think a little bit about it. Try to talk specifically about what you've gotten rather than saying whiteboard.fm is great. Because I think, can you zoom into some of these actually? I want to see some examples.
Yeah. Okay. These are better.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's a bunch of examples. Be a little creative in your testimonials, and you have a chance to win this t-shirt. Anyways, Mayank, let's move back. Let's move back to our last few that you want.
So I was talking about the Dan Petty book. and how this guy sells a book, and he really explains. He's not there's no video for why people should buy his book or sorts, at least on the website or on the landing page itself, but simply with his copy and the way he's shown everything and displayed everything, like he's selling the book in a really good way, and which is something what I feel Whiteboard.fm can also do in terms of convincing or like making people realize why they should listen to Whiteboard.fm.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next page is visualize value. Now, a lot of people, a lot of folks, I'm pretty sure, follow visualize value on Instagram because of their creatives. But what they also do is that they teach a lot of things as well. They have a content platform that is through their website, through which they are teaching a lot of skills, and people buy these things. For example, here you can see market creation in one of their designs, that they are teaching how to do community and daily manifestation, how to work towards your own business, and they have their community as well. You can see private community access and so on and so forth, and they have customer reviews. So they're not just creating content, but they're also getting people to be a part of their program and engage and learn from it. And I really like how these guys sell their content as well. And these guys have a Slack channel, so I just noticed that because of the UI.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity for us to integrate some of the, like we have the 10K designers Discord, probably integrate it somehow, but I'm just not sure how exactly.
And visualize value has merch too, by the way. So yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Next is Circle. Again, this is a community platform for creators where you can engage. I feel there are a lot of communities, but it's unique. It's what I really like is how each platform sells itself in a very different way. Like the foundation might be the IA, or the foundation might still be the same, but the way they pitch it to the people who visit their website is very different.
Yeah, yeah.
And then last is a iteration of 10K designers.
Let me show this actually. Let me share my screen, and actually maybe you can just follow my cursor and I'll
Okay,
show.
sure.
Actually, no, you can't do that. It's a different file.
Cool, man. So I'll stop sharing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So check this out, folks. There is dude, don't tell me it's hanging. Okay, it's not. So I'm not sure where exactly this is. So if you want to see the brainstorming for 10K designers, which is also a live stream, it's on my channel. You can go check that out. ABNUX on YouTube. These were some of the things we had come up with in that live stream. One of the things that I was actually also planning, actually this might just be something, this might help us with the whiteboard design, is I was thinking about profiles. I was thinking about how do I create like a profile, let's say for myself, for person, which is you have their projects or where they work right now, and then some sort of timeline of, I mean, here I was really thinking more in terms of a work timeline or updates that you're making, saying that, hey, this is today I worked on, today I did this. But then I also started thinking a little bit about, yeah, so I was just trying some iterations here. But I also started thinking about doing websites for projects. I didn't do one for Whiteboard. But like, for example, let's say Booklets has this project. These are the creators. Now you have a timeline, grid, and about, and you can sort of see this. So I'm thinking about possibly creating profiles in this style for the creators, where it's something like this. You might have something here which says episodes, case studies, about. So less of a blog structure and more of a platform structure. Yeah.
This is something which we were discussing as well in terms of creating profiles for the cohort members as well.
Yeah, I think that we're definitely going to do that also, which is folks on cohort 1 and cohort 2 that are watching right now, you are going to have a profile which is 10kdesigners.com/your name. And this is going to be your almost like your portfolio, which we're going to make a really nice looking profile for you where we put all your case studies, links to your platforms, about you, what you've done, and we'll create a really nice structure for this. A good way for people to browse profiles from the cohort. However, I think this will be first, the Whiteboard website. And once we do that, I'll probably do this somewhere at the end of cohort 2, because this does take a bunch of time that I don't have right now.
Oh, bro, let's do this thing as well, right? Like, I was not planning to say this discuss this in public or on live stream.
Yeah.
But let's do it this way that I'll do the Webflow part for Whiteboard as well. Of course, I'll take feedback and all of it. And then that way we'll get more bandwidth for making, updating 10K designers as well for Webflow. Like, once I also work on Whiteboard in terms of Webflow part, then both of us would be able to simultaneously do the Webflow part for every other thing as well.
True. Yeah, we can possibly do that.
Yeah.
But cool. So let's do Whiteboard as the first project then. I'm also thinking of actually doing something similar with 10K designers, which is putting some content there, but then I don't, most of the content for 10K designers is actually private.
Right.
For the cohort. So I don't think there's as much. So I think Whiteboard is a good place to start. Yeah.
So folks, what do you think about all this? The last comment I can see is everyone getting excited about flexing for getting that 10K designers t-shirt.
Yeah.
By the way, this is not for sale, and I'm assuming, I am not sure when Abhinav will put it up for sale, but I'm not assuming it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
So might as well make the most of it. So
yeah, I think it's almost like I've thought about it. I was this close to it'll take me like 3 hours to set up an online store with everything and just start selling. But now it's like, what's the real outcome here? And the thing is, I don't want to make money from t-shirts because it's not like it's a crazy amount. It's just more of a nice way for everybody to sort of be a part of the community.
Right.
But so merge store it's like the most obvious thing to do in this case, which is you have a community, you have YouTube set up a merge store. But I would prefer to keep the merge store private for now.
Yeah.
The t-shirt you're wearing, for example, all cohort 1 members got it. T-shirt I'm wearing right now, all cohort 2 members got it. Cohort 3, we're going to have a completely different t-shirt. And eventually, I think we can sort of do these limited edition drops where you can actually buy some of these. We open it up for 24 hours and then it's closed. But then that's stuff in the future. Like, this is something that I know 100% for sure I'm not going to work on right now. Yeah. So folks, we're at the end of this live stream. We've just done some of the planning, but now we have a pretty good idea of how to proceed. Very likely that the next similar video that you watch, I don't know if it'll be Thursday or no, it'll be next Thursday. What we'll do is we'll go more into some of the wireframing, which is now you've understood a little bit about at the start of a project, figuring out what to do. And then a little bit of what not to do as well. We didn't cover too much of that, but setting the direction. And now that direction is set, how does this actually flow into and out, like into the design process and then out in the world? So we're going to be showing that for sure. Next one, we're going to be doing a little bit of information architecture and wireframing. What I'll do is I'll hook up my iPad to the stream, and we'll sort of do this real time with ideas. We're going to show you iterations, how that works.
Yeah.
I think the next, actually, I'm not sure. Next couple of weeks are going to be interesting, but here's the point. A lot of the work is not going to happen on live streams. It's going to happen in between. So we'll see. The next video, however, we are going to push this forward. Yeah.
Cool, guys. This was great. Now that since we've come to the end of our live stream, I mean, You guys know what to do. Share this on LinkedIn, Instagram. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's see you guys next week on Thursday, 9 p.m.
Yeah. See you all. Have a great night and a week ahead. Bye bye.
Bye bye.